Ahoy, mateys. Welcome aboard my podcast. I am Jason with Jay's Paradise Travel. Thank you for tuning into this week's episode. Today I'm going to be talking about my experience in Cyprus. Now, I'm saying in Cyprus because the port that we went into for this cruise that I just got off of was actually at Limassol, Cyprus. But the tour that we took was in Nicosia. And we didn't even really get a chance to see Limassol. So initially, I was going to say my experience in Limassol, Cyprus, but if I didn't really get to be there, I didn't feel right in justifying putting it as where my experience was. I could say Nicosia, but that's not what we reported either. So I'm naming this podcast My Experience in Cyprus. Welcome aboard again. So, just a little housekeeping before I get into everything. If you'd like to take a vacation, perhaps you'd like to go to Cyprus, go on a cruise, and see what it's like for yourself in person, you can reach out to me in a couple of different ways. One of the ways is social media. I have two social media accounts, one on Facebook, one on Instagram. Both are named the exact same thing, Jay's Paradise Travels. That is Jays. There is no apostrophe in there. Jay's Paradise Travels. I also have pictures on there. You can feel free to take a look, see if there's anything you like. Or you can reach out to me through email. My email address is j.paradise.travels@gmail.com. That's jay.paradise.travels@gmail.com. All right, let me get that housekeeping out of the way. I'll start into this week's episode. Again, this is my experience in Cyprus. This was part of a 10-day Greek cruise that I had taken with my dad and some friends. Just got back just a little bit ago, and I wanted to be able to tell you about it while it's still pretty fresh in my mind. Just kind of doing it off the top of my head, no notes with it. I've got some pictures that I've got pulled up to kind of spark some memories with me, but for the most part, it's just going to be me talking about it. I like to do that as soon as I possibly can while it's fresh in my mind and give you that raw experience, that raw emotion from all of it. Although it has been a little bit of time, maybe a week or so when I actually went, but it's still fresh enough where I could talk about it. This trip, as I mentioned, was a 10-day cruise. 8 days we were at port in some way, shape, or form. Only 2 days at sea. The second port that we went to wasn't the second day, but it was the second port that we went to was Cyprus. The city that we went into was Limassol. Prior to that, we had been in Thessaloniki. I had done a podcast on Thessaloniki. Feel free to listen to that. I've also done a podcast on Celebrity Cruise Line, the cruise ship that we were on. Feel free to listen to that. Today I'm going to be talking about that second stop when we were in Cyprus. We boarded again in Limassol, and I was with a group of friends. There was 9 of us all together, and there was a friend that had, I guess, put it out there, some of the excursions or tours that they wanted to do. I was fine with it. My dad was fine with it. The rest of the group was fine with it. Okay, this is what we were going to do. This tour that we did on this particular one was probably the least expensive of all the tours that we did. And we all come together. Now, the previous day, the previous 2 days, we were in Thessaloniki, and one of the the tours that we went on, one of our friends missed it because they had left their phone behind, went to go get it, and our bus had to leave. The person that was in charge of it forced the bus to leave. We missed out on our friend there, felt bad for her. This time, she was there. She had her phone. Everyone was there. We were all going as a group of 9. All got on the same bus. Now, with Celebrity, the way that they have it is everyone comes into the theater. You're going to get like a little ticket of some kind that they put in an envelope, put in your room. You take that to the theater. Usually, it's about maybe a half hour to an hour before the cruise or the tour starts. So let's say that it's scheduled to at 9 o'clock. They're going to probably tell you to be at the theater by maybe 8:15 or something like that. And and then you give all the tickets of whoever's in your group, however many that is, 2 people, 10 people, doesn't matter. They give them to one person. They take it down. They give you like these stickers, and then from the stickers you put it on your shirt. It's got a number on it, and whatever that number is the bus that you're going to be going on to your cruise. Anyways, we all come together and we get our stickers. Everyone's there this time. The first day we were a little discombobulated. This time we had it a little bit better organized. We were all together, get all on the same bus. And the previous cruise, or I keep want to say cruise, the previous excursion that we did, the lady, very nice lady, very energetic. I kind of think of her as being like the Energizer Bunny, just go, 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 go. She had a lot of energy to her, and we were touring tombs, uh, but that high energy that she had made it interesting. It kept your interest peaked in what was going on, and I appreciate that. The tour guide that we got for this day was a little bit of the opposite. Now, every tour guide is going to have a different personality. They're going to bring something different to the table, different knowledge, different way of thinking. Everyone's different, right? We got a person was that talked a lot more slower and was more deliberate in their speech. She had kind of a high pitched voice too, a little bit of an older lady. Her voice, it kind of reminded me of listening to Elmo from Sesame Street. That was the kind of high pitched voice that she had. Very nice lady. And when my dad was speaking Greek to her, she really appreciated that. She was worried that maybe she was talking too much. And my dad was like, no, no, you're fine. You're okay. You're not talking too much. You're all right. Anyways, from where we were at in Limassol, and we headed out to Nicosia, I won't lie, when I was booking all this, the word looked like Nicosia to me, but it was pronounced Nicosia. All right, cool. I'll learn it. I'll learn it that way, and I'll say it that way. And we head out there. As I mentioned, she was our tour guide, so she was giving us different facts about the city and the area, history with things. Um, we were doing that on the bus ride over, probably about maybe an hour ish to get out there. And while we were driving out there, I saw this like little stadium kind of thing. And for you know me, if you know me well enough, I like to go to stadiums and see different. I wasn't going to a game there, but I saw once I decided to take a picture. Come to find out, I see like on the sign of it, it said Brian Adams had come. I think it was last year. I can't remember the date exactly. I was like, Brian Adams, really? I know who that is. Not that I'm a humongous Brian Adams fan, but I at least know who he is. There's a couple songs I like of his. So I thought that was kind of interesting that Brian Adams had come all the way to Cyprus for a tour. Yeah, that's kind of cool. Anyway, so we continue on, and we're in this bus. She's talking. She's giving us different uh, history, facts, things like that. Typical for what you'd get on a tour. And we get there, and when we get there, we're kind of on top of like I guess you could say like a little fort from years ago, and it was kind of pretty. We were looking down. You could look one side, look to the other, kind of nice little view. Uh, Very scenic looking with some trees and um, I don't know, just a little kind of nice. They had uh, they had turned part of that fort, or at least maybe the aqueducts that were underneath it, into a restaurant. We didn't eat there, but we saw it. Thought that was kind of interesting too. Anyway, so we see that now. The tour guide that we had on our previous excursion, the one that was high energy, she had these like little machines for all of us to take and put around our necks and hook up to some headphones so that we could hear her while we were on about. This tour didn't have that. So we were all gathered around her, and some of us are in the shade because the sun was out. It was a little bit warm. And she was addressing all of us and going back and forth. Reminded me of like an oscillating fan. So when she came one way and she was facing us, I could hear her better. But then she'd go another way and start talking to that side of the group. I couldn't hear her as well. And then you had other buses coming, other tours were there. So there was a lot of noise. And I know she had a lot of good things to say. I just felt bad that a lot of times I couldn't hear her, in addition to being a little bit of more high pitched voice that she had. So I kind of felt bad because in no way at all would I want to disrespect her craft as a tour guide. I couldn't hear her, and made it a little bit difficult to follow along in some of the things that we were we were doing, what we were seeing. But there were some historical things that we saw. We walked down. There's a building that had I don't know, something historical, and I could see some statues on there. And then we continued walking on through the city. There's some neat looking buildings. She would stop and point out some things, maybe a door that had some sort of ancient design to it that they used many years ago. She would point out different government buildings that were in the area. At one point, we stopped at a little tiny convenience store type of place. And she had mentioned that here's one of the places to use the bathroom if you want to go, because the rest of what we were doing, it was going to be a little bit few and far between. So a lot of us used the bathroom there and maybe got like a drink, a coffee, something to eat, whatever. The guy was nice enough to let us use the restroom if I guess if we bought something. Um, so we stopped there for a little bit and then continued on. Again, she was showing us. We saw like different government buildings. There's churches. They're all over. They're peppered throughout the city. And we continued walking throughout the town. Got to see some interesting artwork, I guess you say. I don't say graffiti, but artwork that they had. There's one famous guy there that would would put artwork on the side of the buildings. Um, at one point, we did come across an area that was being excavated from like the ancient city from before. Didn't We didn't spend a whole lot of time there. We saw it, maybe took a picture or two. We continued on. Walked by a little local restaurant. No one stood to eat or stood to eat. No one went there and ate, but we kind of looked by and went there. I felt like it was a little quiet town. Now, granted, this was we kind of went a couple days before then was like Greek Easter. It was a holiday. It was on a Sunday. We're here on a at this point we're here on a Tuesday because we had 2 days at Thessaloniki, and then we had a day at sea before we got to Limassol. Um, but apparently they were some people celebrate that holiday like all week. So not everything was open. It was a little bit more on the quiet side as we were walking around. At some point, we did come across like this uh, area where it was, I won't say heavily guarded, sort of. It was some sort of military place, and they were very strict about no pictures. So I had a friend, one of my friends in the group, he had bought a new camera for this trip, and he was taking pictures all over the place. He was a little bit behind me, but I heard one of the guards with the guns yelling out, "Hey, no pictures!" Just screaming at him. I look back, and there's my friend. He's just like, "Okay, all right." I come in peace. And later on, we're kind of talking about it. He's joking like, they act like it's not the Berlin Wall here, guys. Let's calm down here. I thought that was kind of funny. I got a kick out of that. I laughed. Felt bad for the friend, at the time, but I think back on it, it's kind of funny. And it's kind of true. It's not that serious, but to them, it's serious for whatever reason. I don't know. Maybe they think if someone takes a picture, it's going to fall in the hand of the wrong people, one of their enemies. They're going to know where it's at. I don't know. Who knows? But whatever. There was right across from there uh, a place. I saw this little sign that had the word Ypsilanti on it. And I was like, oh, I want to take a picture of that, but I'm afraid I'm going to get shot. And so I think my dad it was because he speaks Greek. He asked, "Is it all right if we take a picture of that sign?" He's like, "Yeah, that's fine as long as you're not taking a picture of our area." Okay, so I took a picture of the sign, and you might be thinking, what's so great about that? If you're from Michigan, you know what that is. Ypsilanti is a town in Michigan. It's actually right next to Ann Arbor, um, which is where the University of Michigan is. And Ypsilanti has a college uh, team as well. They have a college there, the Eastern Michigan University, and that's in Ypsilanti. And driven by it a million times, going to and from the games. If you're from Michigan, you probably heard of Ypsilanti. And I think in Ypsilanti they do have a statue of Ypsilantius, whoever that guy was, the Greek guy. They have a statue of. I think there's even like the Greek flag there. And my dad always mentioned how that was a Greek guy. I was like, okay. that's cool, I guess. But now going to Greece and seeing that name there, I was like, all right, that's kind of cool. So I wanted to take a picture of it. I didn't want to get shot doing it. Thankfully, I was able to, and no one shot me. Uh, so it's kind of cool to be able to see that because it was a tie. Now, if you're not from Michigan, you're thinking, yeah, I never heard of Ypsilanti. And that's okay. Later on, I'm just going to tie this in because it reminded me. I saw that reminded me of Michigan, and then later on, when we done with the cruise, we're in Athens, and we came across a store when we were sitting down for lunch, and it was called Detroit. I was like, really? There's a Detroit store here? So that made me think of Michigan back home. Ypsilanti made me think of it too. That was kind of cool. Anyways, we continue on, seeing different older buildings, and I mean, they look pretty cool. They look different. You could tell it's foreign. It's not something you're not exactly in the States. I enjoyed walking down those streets, being able to see that. Um, so we're walking through this. She's talking. I can hear some of it I can't. Whatever. By the end of it, uh, we come across. We're kind of like in the back. Where were we here? So she took everyone inside of a church for a bit, and then I stayed outside. Some of my party. They went to the bathroom. I was kind of just enjoying being in the shade for a bit. We left there, went through a restaurant, and kind of went through like the back way. We were like behind some stores, and then eventually we got in the front of it. It was like a souvenir store to start. Got some souvenirs. Got this shirt. My wife's actually got a matching one. We don't normally do that, but a friend wanted to get her a shirt, so I was like, okay. So we got the same shirt. I got this for the podcast. My friend wanted to get her one just for her being cool about me coming without her. Anyway, so we're in there. We got to use the Wi-Fi for a bit. Anytime we got to use the Wi-Fi wherever we could, that was kind of nice. And then we get out of there, and there's this long street worth of shops and restaurants. And she was giving us like an hour or something like that in order to look around, kind of give our own time, and then we'd all meet up at the end of the street, get on the bus, head back. She was supposed to get us back by 5 o'clock. Um, and so that's what we did. We walked around. Um, like I said, kind of got on the Wi-Fi. I was trying to maybe post some pictures of what I had taken of the trip so far. It was difficult. I didn't have a very strong signal. That way, when I got back, it wasn't like here's 1,000 pictures all at once. But I got a little bit done during the cruise, and part of it was at that day. But there was still pretty much a photo dump at the end of it. uh, and our friends shopped around too. Eventually, me and my dad went into this restaurant. We each got a euro, took that to go. As time was starting to run out, he was on the phone talking with, I think, his cousin for a bit there. Friends were doing their own thing too. But we all eventually did come together near the end. And we were kind of, there was like kind of a split in the city where part of it was part of like the ancient city and a lot of history with it, and then like the other half was like the newer part, and there was divided in a way, and we kind of walked from one half to the other half after we all met up together. Um, and we got on the bus and started heading back. So the new part of the city you could kind of tell. You saw like higher buildings, and the older part you could kind of tell when you see some of the more older looking buildings, but not like ancient. They're not ruins. They're just older looking, if that makes any sense. So that was kind of cool to be able to do that. And then she took us back to the ship uh, through Limassol, which again we didn't even get to see. And by the time we got back, so I was really hoping to get back. It was supposed to be back by 5, and one of the activities that they had going um, on the ship was going to be like this hockey shootout tournament type of thing. And I participated the day before, the other day, on a basketball shootout, and actually came in second, which I was super happy and proud of myself because basketball is like one of my worst sports, and I was shocked I came in second, and even beat out this kid who was doing pretty good. So I was really looking forward to trying the hockey thing, but how the time that we needed to leave and go, what she was saying, we didn't. And at first it was like, all right, if we leave a quarter two, we'll get there by five. Didn't do that. We left later, and we had everyone, or at least I think we did. Um, Took a while to get back. So by the time we got back, it was like 5:30. And I was like, all right, I'll try to go up there because even during that basketball tournament, it took a little longer, and the guy was letting latecomers still come in and play. So I'll try to go up there and see if I can still participate if they're still going. But by the time I got up there, it was already been done. I was like, man. And when I talked to some of the activity people, they're like, yeah, it's done. We're not doing it again. And I was like, oh, bummer. Wish we would have got back on time. um, but we didn't. Oh well, what can you do? Before we left, though, again, because we hadn't seen Limassol, I couldn't tell you anything about Limassol, even though that's where we docked. We spent all our time in Nicosia. After I went up there to see about hockey, they weren't there. I decided to take a couple pictures, though, at least of Limassol to say at least I looked at it. You could see the water, the city in the background, the port. I mean, it was kind of nice to look at, and I'm sure the city's maybe pretty nice to spend some time in. I just didn't get a chance to experience it. Again, I spent my time in Nicosia, which I think it either is their capital or was their capital at some point, one of the two, something like that. Anyways, and then this shirt that I had gotten, I thought it was kind of appropriate. It didn't say Limassol or Nicosia. It says Cyprus, and then there's a map of it. And Limassol is down here. That's where we ported. And where's Nicosia? I don't even know. Can't remember. Somewhere. A bunch of other different places here. Uh, Anyways, but I was like, well, that's a fitting shirt because it has. I went to both places, and it has both places. I just can't see it at the moment. Yeah. All in all, not a bad little tour. If again, I mentioned this before in a previous podcast when I was talking about Thessaloniki. If you like history, and this pretty much just goes for Greece because Greece has a ton of history with it. But if you like history, no doubt you would like this. And if it is something that you would like to go see, go take a visit, see with your own eyes. Maybe, especially if you're big into like we didn't see a ton of ruins, but we did see a lot of like older buildings, a lot of older churches, government buildings. If that type of thing interests you, if that type of thing fascinates you, then yeah, you would definitely no doubt like this. So if it is a case, let me know, and I can help book it for you. You can reach out to me again either through Facebook or Instagram. I have the exact same handle for both. Jay's Paradise Travel, Jays. There's no apostrophe. Jay's Paradise Travels. You could reach out to me in that way. You could even see some of the pictures that I took of this excursion in this place. Or if you are not on social media and you prefer to email, you could email me. My email address is j.paradise_travels@gmail.com. That's jay.paradise_travels@gmail.com. Again, I'd be more than happy to help you with that. I hope you like this video, and if you do, please like the video on YouTube. Feel free to subscribe to the channel. Definitely looking to get the subscribers up and share with other people because I'm trying to get my name out there. I want to be your travel agent as well as your family and friends travel agent and make this world a happier place one vacation at a time. So please feel free to share it and contact me for your travel needs. Um, and let Jay's Paradise Travels, that name, be made known out there. And feel free to type in the comments too. If you have any questions, if you have any comments, concerns, if you have an experience with going to Greece, with going to Cyprus, if you have experience on celebrity cruise lines, whatever the case is, I'd love to hear about it. So feel free to type it in the comments too, and be more than happy to read it and respond to it. Thank you again for listening today. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you learned something from it, took something away from it. Hope it whetted your appetite to go travel and allow me to share my passion with you and help book it for you. I'll talk to you guys later. Take care. Bye-bye.